So if you want to factor a trinomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where this leading coefficient a is other than positive 1, then there's this method that's outlined on the left. So while we're looking at the steps of the method, let's try to factor the trinomial 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. So step 1 says form the product a times c. So the first coefficient times the last coefficient, which gives us negative 30. Step 2 says find a pair of numbers whose product is a times c and whose sum is b. So you want two numbers that when you multiply them give you negative 30 and when you add them give you positive 7. So how we do this is we break down 30 into its different into two number factors, right? So negative 30 is negative 30 positive 1, or 30 times negative 1, right? So it's also equal to negative 15 times 2, or 15 times negative 2. And we want to see if any of these guides ends up adding up to 7. Not yet, right? 30 is also 10 times negative 3, or negative 10 times 3. And oh look, if you add 10 and negative 3, you get positive 7, right? So we found the two numbers who, when you multiply and give you negative 30, and when you add them, give you positive 7. So let's erase all this scrap work here, and let's write this down as our result for number 2. So we had, what, 10 and negative 3, right? And that's because 10 times negative 3 is negative 30, and 10 plus negative 3 is equal to positive 7, which is what we wanted. So step 3 says to rewrite the polynomial to be factored so that the middle term, bx, is written as the sum of the two terms whose coefficients are the two numbers found in step 2. Now, that's a lot of words, but basically it's saying to write 2x squared plus 7x minus 15 as 2x squared plus 10x minus 3x minus 15, right? And notice that if you combine the like terms and add 10x and minus 3x, you get positive 7x. So we haven't changed anything. We just rewrote the terms a little bit. And then step 4, we want to factor by grouping. So by factoring by grouping, we want to take the first two terms and then we want to take the last two terms and group them together. So now we want to take each of the groups and we want to factor out the greatest common factor, the GCF. So from the first term, you can actually factor out a 2x. And what's left is an x plus 5. And from the second set of terms, you can actually factor out a negative 3. And what's left is an x plus 5. And you know you've done something right if you have two like terms, right? X plus 5 and x plus 5. If you had x plus 5 and then something different, you made a mistake at some point. But because we have two x plus 5s for each term, then we're good. So then the last step is to factor out this x plus 5. So when we factor it out, what's left here is 2x and then minus 3. So this is equal to 2x squared plus 7x minus 15. And that's how we factor these two guys. And if you're never sure, you can always check by foiling back in. So in red, we get 2x squared minus 3x plus 10x minus 15, which is 2x squared plus 7x minus 15, which is what we wanted, right? So this is the factorization of that trinomial using this method.